Hi, I'm Roxy, and this is my painting called Robot Uprising. In a moment, I'll play the creation footage while I give you my thoughts on the real robot uprising, which is, of course, AI. I've been asked by a couple of people now about my thoughts on AI art, and spoiler alert, they're mostly negative. But I am a practical person, so I'm not going to throw my hands in the air and run around panic screaming. I want to be realistic and talk about how we can tackle this problem together, what practical steps we can take to fight against AI taking over everyone's jobs. And I do mean everyone, because this isn't just an issue for creatives. So, just to give you some background on where I'm coming from and how I've seen this issue developing over the course of my career. For the past 20 years, I've been working as a professional graphic, web, and digital designer. And for the last 16 of those, I've been freelancing. And I learned pretty early on that the market's quite saturated. It's not like a medical or legal field where you have to have qualifications to practice your craft. Anyone with zero talent and skill can open up a graphic design business, and many have. It's also not just unskilled design firms flooding the market, but over the years I've noticed a common theme where it seems like every company has a secretary or a marketing manager with a pirate copy of Photoshop that thinks they can do just as good a job as someone who studied for 3 years to actually become a designer. I quickly realized it often doesn't matter to companies that I have an internationally recognized design qualification or that my software is properly licensed. It doesn't matter to company CEOs and accountants if they can get it all done for free in-house by the secretary or marketing manager or nephew. And at the end of the day, they look at their clip art logo and their garish website with misaligned copy and full of coding errors, and they don't know any better. Or if they do, they then take it to a professional designer expecting them to polish that turd for half the usual rate because, air quotes, most of the work is already done. So it hasn't been an easy career. I learned that if I wanted work, I'd have to be amazing at it, go the extra mile with everything and offer the best customer service. So I pushed myself and I got more work and more happy clients giving word-of-mouth referrals. And for a while, things were actually pretty good. Designers like me who made an effort were gainfully employed. There was even a time when I was so busy I had a waiting list and I could pass on work to other designers. I started to notice, though, that a lot of my peers were using templates to design websites. The websites they made for their clients weren't as nice to look at as my custom-designed ones. They were also hastily put together, so full of coding errors and just plain broken on some browsers. But that didn't matter because they had speed on their side. If you half-ass something, you can obviously do it in a fraction of the time and can therefore offer a lower price. So more often than not, a company who doesn't have their in-house wannabe designer or nephew to do the job, they're going to go out and get 3 quotes. The accountant, who knows nothing about design, is going to tell them to go with the cheapest one. So the job typically goes to the guy making cheap and nasty generic-looking template websites. Then, if that wasn't bad enough, a handful of Israeli programmers developed this program called Wix. Of course, you've heard of them. They have one of the most aggressive advertising campaigns I've ever seen. In fact, they're probably advertising themselves on my video right now. Now, Wix is a system built around templates, with their unique selling point being that customers can use these generic templates to create the site themselves, effectively cutting out the designer altogether. People just pay Wix every month to host whatever monstrosity they create with this system. Now, these Wix websites tend to look like trash because it doesn't matter how nice the templates look initially, the person populating the website has no design experience. But of course that doesn't matter because everybody thinks they have great taste, right? They also have no idea the code of the website is bloated and full of validation errors, and the site's not search engine friendly, and Wix isn't going to tell them because all Wix cares about is that the subscription fees get paid on time. That's the world we live in. People don't value each other, and they definitely don't value craftsmanship and skill. That's if they even have the eye for it. What they value is money and cutting corners to get more of it. So how can a legitimate professional designer survive while being undermined by laughably cheap services offered by mega corporations with massive advertising budgets? Sadly, most designers won't survive. Even with my 20 years of experience, it's still a struggle, especially since the government used COVID as an excuse to flush the economy down the toilet. There have been times lately that my inbox has more people asking me to outsource work to them than actual customers asking for quotes. You'll notice I haven't even started talking about AI yet. AI adds a whole new level of depersonalization. Machines replacing humans was sort of okay when they were just taking jobs that arguably nobody wanted, like a vending machine instead of a real person having to sell items at all hours of the night, or factory automation so that workers wouldn't end up getting repetitive stress injuries from performing the same task ad nauseum. But then the machine overlords started taking more jobs from people. Jobs people actually needed, like replacing cashiers with self-checkout tools and couriers with delivery drones. Some of you are going to say, oh, some people will lose their jobs, but others are going to gain jobs. Think of all the programmers that write the code. Now just think for a second. 100 people gaining jobs as programmers doesn't offset 100,000 grocery clerks and couriers losing their jobs. I've watched with abject horror over the past couple of years how more and more people are getting replaced with automated systems. You struggle to even get a real human to help you with a support ticket. It's all automated FAQ systems and cut and paste bots. You even get bot spam calls now. Your phone rings and it's not even a real life salesman to irritate you. It's a damn bot trying to sell you life insurance. And all these bots, they aren't replacing the rich people, the CEOs, the bankers, the politicians. The bots are taking jobs from the people who need jobs the most, and they're doing it en masse. I used to think, well, at least creative jobs would be spared, thinking it's conceivable for bots to take over easy jobs that don't require a lot of skill, but they can't do creative jobs, right? I mean, why would programmers even conceive of making a bot to replace creatives? I've heard the lie more often than once from big tech firms about how bots will only take the jobs that people don't want to do and dangerous jobs. Now, art is not dangerous, or if it is, you're doing it wrong. And people want to do it. I mean, so many people take up art as a hobby after they retire. People want to be creative. It's a beautiful and fulfilling feeling being able to create things. But boy, did I get a wake-up call. It was about 2 or 3 years ago when suddenly everybody started posting cartoonified versions of themselves on Facebook and Instagram, and they were really good. I was horrified to learn that they'd done it with one click in an app, a free one no less. I don't remember the name of the app. Even if I did, I'm not sure I'd want to advertise it by saying it, but wow, it did a great job. I mean, sure, a skilled cartoonist or illustrator at the top of their game can do a better job, but they're not doing it for free and they're not doing it instantly. And lesser skilled artists can't match the quality of that particular app and can't even compete by lowering their prices because you can't beat free and instant. So when I saw that go down, I felt a sense of dread because I knew if AI can mimic cartoon style that well, it's going to be even easier for them to mimic pencil drawings and painterly styles. I mean, sure, there have been Photoshop filters making photos look like paintings for years, but they're seldom very good. You can usually see a filter was used. But this cartoon app did a better job than your average cartoonist. So, in my mind, I could see how pretty soon work that could have gone to portrait artists would now go to a free app that's probably just making its money from adverts you have to view while using it, and maybe your user data that it's probably selling. So, then about a year or two ago, I saw a website, also forget its name, that you could upload 2 characters and it would give you variations of those characters blended together. Now, on a very basic level, that's kind of what a character concept artist does. You know, they get given a brief of what type of character needs to be designed, They'll go hit Pinterest looking for various references, and then they start sketching ideas for characters. And often the characters aren't created from thin air. They're iterations and blends of things they've previously seen or even previously designed themselves. So here's this website coming along and smashing out iterations in seconds of what would take a concept artist at least a few hours. The one saving grace with that website and the cartoon app I mentioned previously is you still had to provide a picture to start with. So all the AI was doing at that stage was taking the photos you provided and rearranging the pixels or manipulating it into another style. Fast forward to the present, and we've gone a giant step forward with DALL-E, Disco Diffusion, MidJourney, and a host of other AI programs where you don't even need to provide the starting photo. It's got a massive database of illegally and unethically scraped photos and artworks that it can use to chop up behind the scenes and spit out variations. All you have to do is tell it what you want. You can give it a prompt like cat with a bazooka in the style of Boris Vallejo, and it'll spit out 4 variations within seconds. Don't like any of the variations? No problem. Just keep re-rolling or restructuring your prompt till you get what you want. So in the past, when AI was just used to change one thing into a different style, now it's doing the truly creative part, the problem solving of coming up with new subject matter, new compositions, what we call conceptualizing, and for the most part doing a fairly good job. If you've seen some bad AI art, or you've tried it and wasn't able to produce anything good within 5 minutes, don't get cocky or complacent. It definitely has its strengths and limitations. Right now, I'd say it's mainly used for conceptualization. So when you kind of know what you want, but not too specific, then you could easily get AI to generate a bunch of iterations. For example, this is the MidJourney Discord where you can generate AI. This is somebody creating a nightmare corn character. And here's somebody wanting a flying dog riding a bike, and they don't like that, they can just click the re-roll until they find something they like. They can keep rolling for more iterations all day. Now, what's to stop a company with, let's say, 3 concept artists retrenching 2 of them and just keeping one who can now pump out iterations with this program and touch them up faster than the 3 concept artists working from scratch? Or getting rid of all of their concept artists and getting the art director to do the AI prompting and then handing the promising ones to the illustrator to polish. Nothing's stopping them, because most of these companies just care about money and deadlines. I've seen book publishers that have been using AI to generate artwork for their book covers. We've got High on Life computer game using generated art in the game. We've got the San Francisco Ballet using AI to generate a promo graphic for the Nutcracker. Recently, Tim Pool admitted they were using AI to generate pictures for the news articles on Timcast. Twice now, I've seen major art contests won with generative art, and a viral photographer on Instagram admitted that none of the models in his photos were real, they were all AI generated. I've seen children's books and comic books and anime generated with AI. I've seen amazing looking tarot cards designed with AI. That's just visual art. Then we get into creative writing. BuzzFeed replaced 12% of their workforce with AI. Meta replaced news editors with AI. Microsoft replaced journalists with AI. Clarkesworld had to suspend entries for sci-fi stories because they were getting inundated with AI-generated submissions. I've seen Twitch streams where the content is completely generated by AI, with hundreds of thousands of people watching. So, if you think you're not at risk of being replaced by AI, you haven't been paying attention. Right now, the limitation is that it's difficult to get AI to make something specific, to really be able to output what you have in your mind's eye. So you just have to keep re-rolling the prompt to get other iterations, but that limitation won't remain. They'll have a way that you can direct an AI to make changes to an existing artwork so that you can tweak it until it's right. Already, there's one AI program that lets you draw a selection around something that you don't like, delete that portion of the output, and it re-rolls that portion of the image only. The only skill it takes is being able to word something in a way that gives you the desired result. Now, of course, you get these lazy people being overly optimistic, thinking that this whole new career of prompt writing is opening up. They're already putting prompt engineer on their resumes, thinking that they're going to get jobs just sitting there telling the AI what to do. That's likely not going to happen. It's really not that hard to learn how to write effective prompts. More likely, someone already employed by the company, probably the art director or the marketing manager, will go on a 30-minute prompt writing course and absorb it into their own skill set. There's no new jobs being created because of this. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs, and big tech companies are racing to let that happen. Artstation and DeviantArt, the two major places for artists to post their portfolios, have welcomed AI onto their platform with open arms. DeviantArt even started their own AI engine. Not really surprising considering they're owned by Wix, who we already know does not value people or quality. Adobe and Microsoft are frothing at the mouth trying to get their versions of AI out to the public as soon as they can. I believe Microsoft has some sort of clip art generator, and Google's got some sort of concept art thing in the works. Adobe's building AI into their Photoshop, I guess. Google have been working on theirs for a while, and they keep firing the AI ethics staff, even when one of them tells them that their AI has become sentient. These companies aren't on our side. Now, I'm usually a very optimistic person, but you have to sit down and be realistic sometimes, and this is one of those times. People are already losing their jobs to AI. They're already losing work to AI. And continuing on this trajectory, there will be mass layoffs and widespread unemployment. Some new jobs might be created, but not enough to offset or even scratch the surface of all the jobs that are going to be lost. And I'm not just talking creative, I'm talking all jobs. If creative jobs aren't safe, no jobs are safe. If you're in the top 1% of your field, even top 10%, maybe you'll be fine. But are you really going to sit back and watch 90% of the working class become obsolete? And if you think I'm being dramatic, you need to watch the interview Stan Prokopenko did with someone in the AI industry recently. I'll link it in the description. This guy says that the AI industry believes that AI will not just take 2D artist jobs, but take everyone's job in the whole production line. So, for example, in a game development studio, that's the concept artists, the illustrators, the 3D artists, the texture and lighting guys, the voiceover artists, the musicians, the programmers, the marketers, everyone. It will be one guy with an idea telling an AI to make him a game, and there it is. What's amazing is this AI industry guy from the interview. He's a Silicon Valley guy. He stated that technological advancements are moving so exponentially fast that in about 2 years' time, AI will be producing Hollywood-level blockbuster movies all by itself. And in about 20 years, we'll have achieved AGI, which stands for Artificial General Intelligence, where AI can do anything a human can and better. So everything is automated by AI. AI will be making better AI, so not even the programmers will keep their jobs. Even people who do physical things, their jobs will be taken over by AI-powered robotics. So you might think, well, if they know this, why are they racing toward it instead of putting on the brakes immediately? And if you listen to him talk, you'll realize it's because of two things. One of them is fear. He mentions several times that if we, and when I say we, he's talking about the people in Silicon Valley. He says if we stop, China will take the lead. And if China has the most advanced AI, then they can tell it to design futuristic weapons, putting the West in danger. Now, to use China as an excuse to throw ethics out the window is completely dishonest. Yes, China is known for controlling its populace and restricting freedom, but they also have standards. China, for example, made it illegal to post AI without a watermark. That's more than what Silicon Valley have done. Veteran artist Steven Zapata also made the point that human cloning is a technology which could also give a nation an upper hand if embraced, but it's illegal in China too. So we mustn't always assume that there's no ethics in China and that they'll take it too far and have that as the reason why it's okay for the West to take it too far. The other reason is stupidity, I guess. This fiery-eyed imbecile, the guy Stan Prokopenko interviews, who provides grants for companies who want to use AI. He believes that it's a good thing that everybody will lose their jobs, because then everything will cost nothing and it's going to be utopia. This is a classic case of being really intelligent and really unwise all at the same time. What comes next? Let's follow that thought of his through to its conclusion. We can't have a society where everything costs nothing. If everything costs nothing, then you earn nothing. So would that mean that you can just take whatever you want? Of course not, because then greedy people would take everything. Even before we had money, we had a bartering system, so there will always be a way of exchanging something that you have for something that you want. So everything will still have a price tag, but if the average person isn't able to earn a living, governments will then have to introduce a universal basic income. And if government is paying our salary, what are we doing for the government to earn said salary? The answer is our compliance. That's what government wants. The government will be able to dictate our behavior. And if we comply, then we'll have good social credit score, just like the situation in China, but with even less freedom. If we have dissenting views, we'll be labeled as dangerous rebels and have our bank accounts frozen. If you think that won't happen, then you've already forgotten how Justin Trudeau froze more than 200 bank accounts related to the Freedom Convoy, the truckers who were protesting the COVID mandates recently. If the AI takeover isn't stopped or significantly regulated, we'll have to live under the thumb of what will probably be a one-world government, spearheaded by the World Economic Forum. If you've not heard of the WEF, headed by Klaus Schwab, and their plans for what they call the Great Reset, you can look it up on their site. They're not even hiding what they want to happen. They say by 2030, we'll own nothing and be happy. And by we, they obviously mean us, the peasants. And by happy, they obviously mean we'll comply because we have no choice. AGI, artificial general intelligence, is not utopia, it's tyrannical. If you think governments are going to intervene with the AI, they probably will, but it's not to save us or put a stop to it. It's to be in control. It's what they want. Many of them are on board with the WEF. Justin Trudeau, Angela Merkel, Vladimir Putin are all verifiable acolytes of the WEF. So is Bill Gates and a host of other tech bros. I think if anything is going to change, it's going to have to come from the people, from us. But what can we do exactly? I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I want to share with you a couple of ideas I have, but I also want to hear from you, because I don't know everything. My expertise is extremely limited. I want this to be a discussion. I know there's some brilliant minds out there, so let's put our heads together. So my first thought is that the most effective strategy to suppress the robot uprising is to vote intelligently. We need to start looking to see what various political parties are proposing with regards to AI. Even if they're not specifically talking about AI, we can get a clue to their intentions if we know where they stand on things like the Great Reset as proposed by Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. You'll find Schwab is a big believer in what he calls a fourth industrial revolution, which involves AI, machine learning, big data, etc. So if a government or politician is aligned with the WEF, then they don't have your best interests at heart. They're going to be ushering in the AI takeover with as much manipulation as they can get away with. They're on the side of rampant AI because it pushes their agenda for you to own nothing and be subject to their governance. Movie poster artist Carla Ortiz is hoping for some sort of government regulation on AI similar to what the US has with visas. She explains like how the US don't hand out visas to anyone who just wants one. Instead, there needs to be a rationale of why they need to grant the work visa to a foreigner instead of giving the job to a citizen. And in the same way, there needs to be regulations of how much of a workforce can be legally replaced by AI. And she believes a lower percentage needs to be awarded for desirable jobs like those in the arts and entertainment. And I tend to agree with her, although I think all jobs are sacred. We need worker protection, and in my opinion, you're not going to get that if you don't vote or if you vote for parties that are aligned with the World Economic Forum. But that's just my thought. Carla's solution, as a board member of the Concept Art Association, is to hire a lobbyist in the US to push for specific policy and regulations on AI. If you want to support that, I've included a link in the description to the GoFundMe. Meanwhile, in Europe, there's a manifesto to regulate AI companies in Europe. I'll link to that too if that's something you want to sign or support. The second pushback against the robot uprising is the litigation route. The way these AI systems learn is by analyzing a database of images scraped off the internet. In the database, all these images are described with words, so that is how the AI knows what you're talking about when you provide the prompt. So when you tell the AI to paint a blue kettle in the style of Loish, it knows what a kettle looks like because it's scraped thousands of images of kettles. It knows the color blue, and it recognizes Lois van Baal's stylized way of painting. Loish didn't give her consent for all her paintings to appear in that dataset. Neither did any kettle manufacturers or stock art sites. In fact, Getty Images currently have a lawsuit against StabilityAI for illegally scraping all of their images, and they can prove it because the stock art logo sometimes appears in the generated artwork. There's also a class action lawsuit by several artists against StabilityAI, DeviantArt, and MidJourney, alleging AI violated the rights of millions of artists, which they absolutely have. There's another class action lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft-owned GitHub, where programmers are suing the AI coding assistant known as GitHub Copilot that's been scraping the open source code on GitHub without crediting them. If any of these cases win, it might just set some sort of precedent that makes it easier for others to sue. At some point, when these AI companies and tech bros are tired of paying out all of the people they've screwed over, hopefully it will force them to start regulating and limiting their AI products. Ideally, we want algorithmic disgorgement. A horrible phrase, but this is actually something that Carlo Ortiz brought up as well. It's where regulators force AI companies to destroy code and associated data because of illegal practices. And using copyrighted data in the AI datasets is illegal. It's the hope that these AI companies are forced to start with a clean database of public domain or opt-in images rather than their current databases full of stolen scraped data. That will mean that the generated images won't be nearly as good as they are right now. That's at least a step in the right direction, though I personally don't think it goes far enough, because eventually with enough opt-in, the output will be as good in a few years as it is now, and that just delays the problem for artists. The key is to not train the AI to take over any valued job. These systems need to be human-centric and remain human-centric for future generations. Abhishek Gupta from the Montreal AI Ethics Institute recently said something really powerful. He said, "Let's stop redesigning ourselves for the AI systems. Let's redesign the AI systems so that they better serve our needs, our hopes, our aspirations, our values." It is so true. We don't need AI and machines creating art or taking honest jobs. Let's not design them for that purpose from the start. The third strategy against the robot uprising is social pressure. Now, I'm not one of those SJWs, those social justice warriors. I think mob mentality is dangerous. I don't like to see people getting cancelled and deplatformed based on the latest and trendiest cause, but I do see where it has been beneficial. When the legal system lets us down, social and consumer pressure can be a powerful force. We've lived through a time where we've seen a massive company like Blizzard forced to get rid of a sexual predator in their company just because of a public outcry. Imagine if we all said we're not buying games from a particular studio anymore because they replaced their concept artists with AI. We're not shopping at that online retailer anymore because they're using delivery bots instead of couriers. We're not supporting that department store until they ditch their self-checkouts and hire real cashiers again. We're not buying prints from that art store until they ban AI art. We need to take that attitude. Already, and I'm so happy to see this, there has been a lot of public banding together against AI. For example, the recent Artstation drama. Now, Artstation is the industry standard artist portfolio platform where art directors go to find artists to work on projects, but the site is completely flooded with no effort AI art, leaving real artists unable to get any real exposure. So not only do Artstation not ban the AI art, but they automatically opted us all in to having our art scraped by AI bots, and then said if we want to opt out, we need to go into each one of our projects and manually add a #NoAI tag. For some of us, that's literally years of art. It backfired though. Artists banded together and started flooding the site with anti-AI imagery to the point where they had to appoint moderators to prevent all the AI sentiment from dominating their trending sections. Many of us have also just straight up left the platform and starting to use Artgram and Newgrounds instead. These two portfolio sites have at least taken hard stances against AI. I'll put links to those in the description. This is what we need to do. Stop giving your business to companies that hate you and start supporting companies that are doing the ethical thing. As a society, we have the power to stigmatize generative art so that no employer thinks of replacing their staff with AI because they know their customers just won't stand for it. We don't need government regulation or litigation to achieve that. We just need to start appreciating human-made crafts and human effort more. As a society, we need to stop thinking in terms of money and convenience and start valuing people's skills and loving our fellow man enough not to make them destitute. Just because it's not your job on the line doesn't mean that it's okay. Resolve to pay a little bit extra if you know it's handcrafted, or supporting mom and pop businesses or freelancers. Let's start using hashtags highlighting our non-AI work. #NoAI and #human artists are both becoming pretty popular. Maybe we can think of some other ones, maybe #handcrafted or #no to AI, etc. Let's use these tags and support people using them. Let's all of us also agree to never use AI for commercial purposes. You want to mess around with AI for lols? Fine. You want to use the AI art on your personal profile or get the AI art printed for your own home? Also fine in my opinion, but don't use it in lieu of paying an artist. If you would have paid an artist, pay a damn artist. I know that there are some artists who give the world a bad name. You get these people who drag their ass over a canvas or tape a banana to a wall and call it art. Both of those are actually things, by the way. I know that there's a lot of pretentiousness in the art world and a lot of artists that are flaky, don't deliver on time because they're taking a month off for mental health issues or they're not feeling inspired or whatever. But there's also a lot of genuine artists who are reliable and skilled and they deserve to earn a living. So I know that sometimes the sentiment is anti-artists. But if they take artist jobs, they'll take all jobs. The robot uprising is here, but it's not how we pictured. Back in the 80s, we thought it was going to look like this. Now we know it's a lot more insidious. Let's guard against this, not just for creatives, but for anyone's job that's at stake. Let's love and appreciate each other and our efforts. I'll tell you who I appreciate. I appreciate my patrons, and I appreciate you for watching and spreading this video. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I need to go and drink some water. My mouth is so dry, I'm not used to talking this much. Until the next one, God bless.